Welcome to Storytelling.
This week's guest was born in Jamaica nearly a decade before the island gained its independence from Britain in 1962. He considers himself fortunate to have experienced life in both colonial and post-colonial Jamaica. These experiences have moulded in him a rich and unique understanding of life. It has also provided for him the ability to draw upon the diverse cultural narratives that both the post- and pre-independent Jamaica have woven into his creative matrix. After teaching for nearly 10 years in Jamaica, he migrated to the Bahamas, where he now lives and works. In this episode, he shares the idea that sparked his creation, as well as the events that catapulted him into the teaching profession. He also shares how this relates to storytelling. Please welcome Ike Williams. Hello, Ike, and welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you very much, Debbie.
Ike, you've written an amazing book talking about your journey of becoming a teacher. Can you tell us a bit about that journey?
Okay. Well, actually, it was sort of very providential that I became a teacher because that was not something I had planned to do. I just followed a friend to the teacher's college and I was walking around and observing the place because that was the first time I've been there. And then I went to this department, the English department, and I looked in a room and I heard somebody calling me, asking me, "Young man, are you here for an interview?" And I said, "No, I'm not here for an interview." And they said, "Okay, come inside anyway," because apparently no one was really coming there at that time. Not many students were applying to go into the English department. So they said to me, "Come inside, sit down and read this." And they gave me a sheet of paper on which there was a poem. So I sat down and I read it. And I actually enjoyed reading it because I love to read. And after I was finished, the lady looked at each other. There were about 3 of them in the room. And they said to me, "Young man, you need to come into this college. You are the best reader we have had all morning. Take these forms and go down to the administrative office and register to come into the college." And it was the Micro Teachers College in Jamaica. That's how my journey as a teacher began.
So, Ike, that experience is absolutely amazing. Can you tell us about your childhood upbringing and what your experience was like during school?
I was born in Jamaica, and I was born at a time before Jamaica got independence, like a couple of years before. So I grew up in a kind of colonial society. And then after Jamaica got independent, it changed. So I had an experience of being under British rule and then becoming independent. So it was very free and easy. Life at that time, and although I was poor, I didn't know I was poor because everything was accessible to me. Education was free, so it was not difficult to get into a school or go to college. Because I went to college, I didn't even pay. It was paid for me by the government. I grew up with a single mother and one brother. And then I found that I was very creative naturally. I didn't even know that I was creative. When I left high school, I started a group to do some kind of creative thing because I was bored. Because when I left high school, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life. No idea. And so we started a group. And from that group, I got a scholarship into the Performing Arts School. And then I continued into the National Dance Theatre Company. And then after about 16 years of doing that, our theatre was burnt down. And so I decided, you know what? I am going to leave this country. So I left and went to the Bahamas. So growing up in Jamaica was very exciting to me. There was lots of things to do as a child. You had a lot of freedom. There was no crime like it is now today. People were more sociable. People were very giving. And church played a very important part in our lives.
And you went on to inspire so many other people along your journey. You mentioned that you were in theatre school, in dance school, which at the time was probably a bit unconventional.
Yes, it was very unconventional, especially for a male. But it's something that I just naturally gravitated to. Nobody taught me to dance. Nobody told me about dance. It just was something that was inside of me. And I was so happy. In Jamaica, we have something called the festival, JCDC festival. They have festival all over the island. And so you could enter the festival and you'll win prize and things like that. I got a scholarship out of the festival. And so because I did that, I was able to also motivate other young people who were also looking for an outlet to come and join me in forming the theatre that I formed and ran for 16 years.
Can you explain to us, because you have a very particular philosophy?
Yes, as a teacher, okay, I've been a teacher for over 40 years now because I've just retired. And during that time, I used a lot of my performing arts experience and my spiritual upbringing and molded teaching into a craft. That is why my book is called Teaching My Art, A-R-T, My Heart, E-H-E-A-R-T. And then over the years, I realized that I really love to do this because actually it is about changing lives. Teaching is about changing lives. It's not just imparting knowledge, but it's about you as an example to the students who you're standing in front of. And so I find that I was able to craft my own brand of teaching based with my education and based with the spirituality and based with the performing arts.
So what has it meant to you to actually combine those three elements together?
It made me find my purpose. That's what it meant. It was because when I started out, right, I wasn't sure of the direction I was going to. You try this or you try that, or you wonder if this will work and that will work. But eventually, what happened is I've developed a philosophy and I developed a purpose. And the purpose continued to grow into something more I could easily manipulate and build on, because I know where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. It was just very clear in my mind what my teaching should be about. It's not, like I said, it's not about imparting knowledge. It's about developing a person, a full person, the entire person.
Can you explain to us some of those experiences teaching in the Bahamas? Because I was with you very recently when you suddenly got a phone call, someone thanking you for helping get a student through their exams. So can you explain to us your more recent experience of teaching and how you have helped to inspire others and motivate others in the meantime?
The difference between the teaching in the Bahamas and the teaching in Jamaica is that in the Bahamas, the student population is less. Jamaica has over about 3 million people. The Bahamas will probably have about 500,000 people. So in the classroom in Jamaica, you will probably have 60, 70 students to deal with. In the Bahamas, I don't have more than 25 students. Therefore, I was able to be more impactful to individual students. And what I did with them a lot of time is that I didn't just have them sitting at the desk and just listening to me. I would take them outside. I'll involve them in speech, drama, activities, and then we'll write about those experiences. And I found that gave them more material to write with, more insight. They were able to see themselves in a real way in their writing. They could use more creative expressions. They could use more figurative expressions because we have just done an exercise outside that they enjoyed. So now they're writing about the experience. And I find that these children also, because of that, they're more excited about coming to class because they know that you come to class and not going to just sit down and listen to a teacher talk for 40 minutes. They're going to be involved in something that they love to do.
How has this helped to develop students in the realms of storytelling, in the realms of helping them to tell their stories?
First of all, they get a chance to investigate, identify, go into who they are. They get a chance to see themselves in another way. They get a chance to see their other classmates in a different way. They get a chance to see them, the gifts and talent they have. They get a chance to enjoy and interact with themselves in a different way. And because of being able to do that, they are able to create things beyond my expectation. Because sometimes when they write a poem or a story, I am impressed with how they express themselves and how much they put into it, not just in regular run of the mill. They go in a deeper way that it really, you see that it is really touching their inner core. And I find that because of that, they perform. I won't say I'm a better teacher than anybody else, but their performance is always improving. They are performing. And like I say, I just recently entered 55 students in the English exam, and I got 100% pass. I got 29 A's, 16 B's, and 3 C's, and just 1 D. And so that tells me that the children are really going beyond what I expect of them.
And certainly you've had some students that have gone on to do some extraordinary things with their lives as well, be it go on to further themselves by setting up their own theatre companies or developing further in the realms of drama or doing other things. What would you say is, if you were to see some of those students again now, what one message would you say to them?
Okay, all right. Just make sure you know who you are. Do not try to be somebody else. You are unique. You are perfectly and wonderfully made. That's what the Bible said. I always say to them, guess what? There are over 7 billion people on the planet, and no 2 persons have the same fingerprint. Why do you think that is so? Because you are special, and therefore you have something that you need to give to the world. So make sure you don't need to copy somebody else. Just find out who you are. And, I've found students right now while I'm here in London, I'm also trying to find avenues where I can get my students to attend a performing arts colleges here when they graduate. They're going to graduate next year. That's their final year in high school, and a lot of them want to continue by doing the performing arts, because I still, on Saturdays, I meet with them. We have a group together, a performing arts group, and I have over 15 students who are part of that group. And they're really excited. A lot of them did not know what they want to do with their lives. But after being in the performing arts and being on stage and enjoying the audience participation and enjoying how people relate to their acting and their skill, they now want to pursue that as a career.
Ike, if you had to go back and speak to your younger self, that moment you walked into that college, into that English department for the first time, about to read that poem, what would you say to yourself before going in to read that poem?
I often think that I was a little bit introverted as a child growing up, introverted because there were limitations, and coming from a poor socioeconomic background, coming from a society where you're colonized and you have a stigma that is in the back of your mind that you're not good enough. So I would tell myself, so no, that you need to get rid of that negative, toxic mindset. And I would have made more progress than I have made, I think, right now.
And what is next for you, Ike?
Well, next for me, what I really want to do next is really write the ideal text that talks about how to marry performing arts, spirituality in the education process, because I think that is missing. We students spend so much time with us in school. They spend more time in school than in church. And I find that a lot of children don't understand that education is a gift from God. They don't understand that when you educate yourself, you are walking the purpose of which God has for your life. And so I think that kind of understanding need to come into the education, along with the fact that you give them a chance to develop their talents. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to craft a book where I can put these things together as one philosophy, one kind of ideology of how to teach using the performing arts, spirituality, and the subject area. Out on the street, everybody that you meet, them a hustle and a bustle in the blistering heat, trying so hard to make ends meet, moving here, moving there, to the rhythm and the thump of their own heartbeat. The rhythm is fast. The rhythm is slow. The rhythm is loud. The rhythm is soft. The rhythm is hard. Some missing the beat, but moving still to the rhythm of life. To the rhythm of life, them a live them life. Them a live them life to the rhythm of life. The rhythm is long. The rhythm is short. But it's all played out by the master's hand.
Ike, I just want to thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
I thank you, Debbie, for having me. I really appreciate this.
If you would like further details about Ike and to order a copy of his book, Teaching My Art, My Heart, then please follow the link in the show notes.